They're different letters of their first name, they'll have different counselors. But this is how we do it. We do it for kids that have been here. We start in 9th grade working with them, mostly in big groups in grades 9 and 10. And then in 11th grade, which is when you guys would join us, we start working with you in small groups of like maybe 8 kids, all through the end of grade 11. And then in grade 12, we work one-on-one, and we meet with the kids every week to talk about universities. We ask that it be a partnership between you and us, and obviously the child, who should be the center of everything. We do a really good job. I'm incredibly proud of my department. I think we do really good work, and I base that on the fact that I watch the stress level when we start talking in the beginning of this process quickly dissipate once we start meeting with parents and students. This is not rocket science. What I do, you could do on your own. It's just that I have some experience because I've done it with hundreds of kids, and so I just try to ease your fears and their fears so that you understand that in the end, this is all going to be okay. Really, our only rule is that you choose to either work with us or with an external counselor. And the reason is because of this picture behind. There are some good external counselors out there. There are some crummy external counselors out there. I'm sure you have worked or heard about both. Sometimes they make some promises that I can't imagine anyone could fulfill, but okay. The problem I have is that when I work in places that have external counselors, if you're working with them and with me, that you're going to get conflicting advice. And the person that's really stuck in the middle is your 17-year-old child, which is the last thing that I want. So if you trust me and you trust the other 2 counselors that I work with, we ask you to work with us solely. If you choose to work with an external counselor because you're more comfortable working with them, we will bow out of the process. Because we're working with 17-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids. They're trying to make you happy. They're hopefully trying to make themselves happy since this is their process. And then they're trying to make me happy and an external counselor happy. It's just not fair for them. And it adds to all of the stress. So that's really our only rule, is that you either choose them or us. Sorry to put you in the spot. What does my department do? So we really work with families and mostly students to find the best fit universities. These are some of the conversations that we have. Everybody laughs that weather is part of it, but this is going to be 3 or 4 year experience. There's tons of universities out there. What do you want your experience to be like? Do you picture it when you close your eyes? Do you picture yourself, studying on the beach in Australia? Do you picture yourself, skiing in Europe? Like, what do you want your weekends to look like when you're not hitting the books? We talk about what kind of campus you want. Do you want to be in the city or do you want to be out in the suburbs? Do you want diversity? Is it important for you to be in a place where there are other Indians, or don't you really care about that? Right? I mean, I live in a place where not a lot of people look like me. It doesn't bother me. But when I was 17, I might have gotten kind of tired of explaining baseball over and over and over again. So we talk about those kinds of things. Obviously, in the center of all of this is the student, right? This is their experience. We really discourage parents from being in control. Sorry. I love you guys. You've done a great job. Now it's up to them. And that's hard for some parents to start to understand that this is the kid's journey. We're there to support them. You're there to support them. You should have conversations, of course, but in the end, choosing a major and choosing a university is really the kid's decision. If you wanted an engineer in the family, you should have been an engineer yourself. Like, this is up to them. And some families are really on board with it, and some take a little bit more explanation. We use Naviance, so if you know anything about counseling, everybody always asks if we use Naviance. It's a US-based program. It has its limitations, but it's the best one that we have found so far. In the lower grades, we do a lot of sort of self-exploration using online assessments, trying to find out kids' interests and what their strengths are. In the upper grades, we use Naviance to try to figure out career possibilities. They're not perfect. They're computer programs. But at least, again, it starts the conversation. So if, veterinarian comes up, and all of a sudden the kid was like, wow, I never really thought about that before. Well, that's a good place to start the conversation. It doesn't, bloop, 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 and then pop out this little piece of paper that says you're going to be a podiatrist. It's It's not like that. It's just a place to kind of start the conversations. We do a lot. You know, we help a lot. We help with transcripts. We help with rec letters. We help you make a list of universities to apply to. Kids, I'm talking to you right now. But the students really do the majority of the work. And of course, as parents, you pay all of the fees. So we do work together on this. It is October, what? 6th? 11th? 11th? Oh my gosh, okay. So far this year, we've had 171 universities visit. And I'm talking through the month of August and September. So just since school has reopened, we've had 171 universities visit our campus because they want our kids. That's not us calling them, begging them to come visit. That's them saying, we're going to be in town for 2 days and you're one of the high schools that we want to visit. So we're very proud of this. They come at lunchtime and talk to our students. They come after school if they want to meet with parents. And so we're pretty excited that so many are interested. And they're from all over. India, Europe, North America, Australia, you know, the whole gamut. This is something that we started last year because we found that a lot of kids didn't know what was available here in India, and it's important to me that kids know what's here before they choose to go. Still, the vast majority of our students do go abroad, but we have more and more interest in kids staying. I think mainly because as an IB program, the majority of our kids are interested in a liberal arts experience. So before, most of those universities were in the US, but there's more and more opening up here in India over the last, say, decade, like Ashoka and OP Jindal and Flame. I know you've heard these names. So we invite them down. We're going to have one on November 1st where a bunch of universities are coming down. The list that's there emailed me, I would say within 3 hours of me inviting them to the fair saying that they're coming. So there's more than that now, it's just I had to make the presentation. We also have a career day to expose kids to their opportunities. My first year we had about 10 professionals come in, mostly parents. Last year I had 17. So it was so many that I had trouble finding rooms for them. The idea of parents giving back to our school is amazing. But we had kids who had the chance to go and talk to different professionals, you know, bankers, pilots. We had Laugh Guru come in because they're performers, so that the kids could see what the different opportunities were out there for different careers. Because I think exposure is really a lot of my job. We also have an internship program, so we ask parents and other community members to sponsor interns. And so our kids can do an internship over the summer vacation or one of the holidays. It's not a huge database right now because we just started it at the end of last year, but I think in the coming months that we're hoping that it will grow. I know it's hard to get internships in India unless you have a relative that will take you, so we're trying to work on getting some of our alums and our parents to give back. The most important thing I think you need to understand from our program is that we don't give you a list of 10 universities. We teach students how to do their own research. So starting in grade 11, I show them the pros and cons of going to the UK, of going to Canada, of going to Australia, of staying in India, and then I show them the different databases that we have and how to do the search. You know, when kids come to me and say, I like this university, I might recommend other universities, but again, this is the kid in the driver's seat, because I think skill-based, these are lifelong skills that they, you know, how to do research is important. Kid talking, parents listening. It's just not easy to find a picture of this, let me tell you. I almost staged one, because I couldn't find one that I liked. But anyway, the kid is really in the center of this, because this is their decision. Now, I'm not saying that as parents you don't have parameters, right? I mean, I understand if you have an aunt that lives in London, well then you're more comfortable sending them to London. Of course, like that's part of the conversation, for sure. You know, if there's money, you know, a cap on how much you want to spend, of course that's part of the conversation. I'm not saying that you're not part of it. I'm just saying that the kid is in the driver's seat, and that's a big difference. Our parents are usually pretty open-minded. I mean, you're here, you're willing to try something different. None of you attended Oberoi, and yet you're here thinking of sending your kid to Oberoi. So I know that you're open-minded to think of something a little bit different. And I find that my parents and my students are incredibly coachable. You know, when I come in and say, you know, those universities are way too high, pick one if it's your dream, but let's try to find some others that you'll have a better chance of getting into. People listen. I very rarely get a list of 10 Ivy League schools. And the ones that I get are usually from kids that have 45. So yeah, they should be applying to Ivy League schools. So I appreciate how open-minded my parents are. I also invite parents in for lots of events. These are really just the ones that have happened in the last few weeks. Liberal arts in India was last week. Applying to Australia is tomorrow. Choosing the right IB course is what we do at the end of grade 10 for the kids that are coming in for grade 11. Individual university info sessions, so we have those at 3 o'clock. I would say at least once or twice a week. There's a Swiss summer programs info session happening right now, which is where I was in the beginning. How to find the best fit universities, we do at the end of grade 11. Medical Mondays happened in August and September. There were some UK students that came back and wanted to give back and explain how to apply. Naviance training was last week. The college application process I explained at the end of grade 11. And university professor lectures are happening throughout the whole year. So it's not like I had to look very far to find examples of when we invite parents in. I don't want you to feel like we don't include you in this process. We do. We also have a parents' book study, so 3 or 4 times a year we pick a book, and any parent that wants to participate, nursery through grade 12, reads the book, and we meet with croissants and tea and coffee on the 4th floor, and we make fun of our kids. Sorry, we love parents. But really that's what we talk about. And then she did this, and then on this page it said we should try this, and yeah. So these are some of the titles that we read last year. Stress. I think my biggest role is trying to get you guys to understand that this doesn't have to be super stressful. It is not rocket science applying to university. And if I can watch your shoulders sort of go down like this a little bit, I know I've done my job. I love my job. I have the best job in this entire building because I help people all day. So when I go home, I feel pretty good about what I did. I am not here to get you worried about SATs. I am not here to get you to feel like you have to hire somebody to write an essay for you. You don't need any of this, really. Like, you could do this on your own if you had to. So please, don't stress about the college application process. If you choose Oberoi, which I hope you do, it's a fun experience. It's very exciting to choose where we're going to apply, and it really doesn't have to be super stressful. Does it work? Yeah, I think we're doing some pretty good stuff. And the way I'm going to end is just to let you know that of all of the applications that we sent out last year, 100% of our kids got in somewhere, and 71% of all applications that were sent out were accepted. And I'm quite good friends with the counselors at some of the other area schools, and they would kill for that number. It is incredibly high to think that almost 3/4 of the applications that we mailed out were accepted, were given offers. I'm very proud of that. We also have very few kids switch schools after their first year. So once they go to university, they're happy where they are. And to me, that's the most important thing. The other thing I'm incredibly proud of is universities want our kids so bad that they will give us money. So last year, we had 60 kids graduate, and those 60 kids were offered $1.5 million in scholarships. Again, it's because they're coachable, because they're listening to universities that are a good fit for them. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Again, we know that you have a ton of choice. We're very proud of the work that we do here. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.
So I get stuck with the worst slot. One more to go before the last one. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the DP program. I'm sure most of you know about it, so I'm not going to spend so much time on it. I will focus on what we offer from the DP program at OIS. So that's going to be a focus of what I'm going to say. A lot of the information that I have already put up is in the prospectus as well. So that's something that you can refer to later. We'll start at the center. The DP has recently changed its logo to now a circular one. And one of the things that I wanted to start with is that's how kids work at OIS. And that is the true embodiment of the DP philosophy. If the DP philosophy is that everything ties in together with the students at the center, that is how we work at OIS. Our kids are at the center of everything that we do, whether it's teaching, whether it's learning, whether it's subject choices, whether it's college counseling, whether it's when they head off to university. And that's something that I wanted to start with. If you aren't already aware about it, but the IB diploma is slightly different from how the other curriculums work. You have 3 core components, which makes the IB kids different from the other kids because they do these 3 additional things. An extended essay, CAS, and TOK. I'll quickly touch upon those as I discuss them in detail. There are 6 subjects that they study over 2 years. 3 are at higher level and 3 are at standard level. 1 course, so you have to, everything is divided into 6 groups. You have to pick 1 from each group, and then the 6th option is something that you can pick from group 6, or you can go back and pick something from group 3 or 4. So I'll explain that in just a second. We'll start at the core. What makes our IB kids different? The 3 things that our IB kids do over and above their 6 subject studies include CAS, Extended Essay, and TOK. CAS is Creativity, Action, and Service. This is something that is additional to what they would do in terms of the subjects that they study. It is literally what it says. The kids are encouraged to work on extracurriculars that will enhance their creativity and critical thinking skills. They're asked to give back to the community when they look at action and service. So we want them to be healthy, we want them to be balanced, and CAS is something that helps with that. The extended essay is a 4,000-word essay that the kids write, that the IB kids write, in a subject of their choice, from what they're studying. They pick one of the subjects and then they write out a 4,000-word essay. It gives the IB kids an edge over the other kids when they apply to universities, because when you apply to universities for undergrad programs, they expect you to write a research project or a dissertation. The IB kids already do that in the 2 years that they study, which is why it gives them an edge and which is why IB kids are preferred when they apply to university. So the extended essay is a component on that. It's an original research project, so it also helps kids learn research skills, and it teaches them how to format their ideas, organize them, and therefore it's a wonderful process. We have over 43 teachers that act as guides in different subjects, and then they take it forward. Theory of knowledge is literally a subject that they do, but it makes them look at the reality around them and makes them question it, makes them think about it, makes them reflect on it, and therefore it is very, very different from what they would have studied in anything. It's a combination of everything, where they discuss current affairs, look at it or approach it from ethical standpoints, or question it on grounds of a historical repetition. It's very different. Our kids enjoy it. It's also one of the classes that they love because they're allowed to ask a lot of questions. They debate a lot in those classes. They end up arguing and then getting back together again. And so that is another thing that the IB does differently. I'm now moving on into the different subjects that we offer at OIS. Group 1 is English A. IB allows us to offer English, Spanish, or French as the first language, and therefore we offer English A. You can choose to take it at the higher level or the standard level. Everybody has to take English, so that's a compulsory one. You can just choose whether you want it at the higher or standard level. Group 2 is language acquisition, which is the second language that you would pick if you are familiar with that term. We offer French, Spanish, Hindi, French ab initio, Spanish ab initio, and they're offered at SL. If you've already been studying French for the last couple of years, then in that case you have to take French B. If you are looking at, or if you've never done French or Spanish before, then the ab initio courses are for the beginners. They're offered at the SL. Group 3 is the individuals and society group, and this is the one in which we offer history, business management, economics, psychology. We just introduced global politics this year, so we'll have a first batch coming through. And ESS is an interdisciplinary subject from IB, and therefore it features in Group 3 as well as in Group 4. Again, it is something, every student has to pick one subject from Group 3. So whether you take it at the higher level or the standard, but you have to pick one from group 3. It's something that we really encourage kids to do. Group 4 are the sciences, and that's where we offer physics, chemistry, biology. From this year, we are offering design technology and computer science as well. Design technology is a combination of design and technology, so visual art and a little bit of computers, or applying technology or looking at softwares that are related to designing. Computer science is literally computer science in terms of a lot of computer programming. And so if that's something that you're interested in, then computer science is how it stands out. ESS is again something that is offered in Group 4 as well. Group 5 is mathematics. Again, like Group 1, you have to choose one of the 3 courses under Group 5, which is math higher level, standard level, or math studies. Math studies is if you are not planning to continue with math and you just need one subject from Group 5, then math studies generally becomes the one that you pick, because you need to have at least working knowledge of mathematics when you go into university. Group 6 right now are the arts, and we're offering 2, visual arts and theatre, both at the higher and the standard level. Our DP results, so that's our batch. You've already seen the photograph with Steve. Our batch of 2017, and these are the DP results that we've had. We had 60 students, 57 diploma and 3 certificate, and we've had a 100% result. Our highest points have been 42. We've had 5 kids that got 42 points. 22% of our kids got more than 40 points. Our average points are 35, so most of our kids have ranged between 33 to 45 points. Our average grade is 5.57.